And as a result,
centuries.
They don't have the infrastructure, the health system, and the wealth to prevent Ebola coming there in the first place. What do you say to that?
You see, the issue of Ebola as well, I will also blame the African leader. You see, Ebola, this is not the first time Ebola disease has come up. You see, the problem in Africa is this. The structure that we have as in Africa continent is not the structure we should have ourselves. All the countries, both from Nigeria, Ghana, Ethiopia, every country needs to change their structure. We need to ask ourselves first as an African, why did we chase the colonial masters away?
Okay,
Juliana, because we want to arrange ourselves.
Juliana,
let us ask ourselves, have we arranged ourselves?
Yeah. Okay, we've got that. Juliana, what's your response to that?
I think it's such a touchy subject, and I agree with you, Lester. And this was actually brought up at the UN summit for African leaders and African nations a few months ago, that we cannot forget. I know we don't like to bring up colonialism because we like to think that we've moved so far forward, but we haven't. And I think there's a lot of stains that have been left in society because of the fact that we have been underdeveloped. But I think it's very, very, very important for especially the countries that are, highly afflicted with Ebola to stand up and talk. I don't want to hear President Obama talking about how China and UAE need to raise funds for Ebola. I actually want to hear the president of Sierra Leone talking about what they need and the president of Liberia talking about what they need. So what our caller is saying is quite important. We actually need the governance, we need them to talk. And also as well, I think it's very important that enlightening projects are brought into more rural areas of these societies, because we did see in Guinea at least 8 aid workers were killed because they were going in trying to help people, but they were afraid and they didn't know what they were doing, and these people ended up being killed. So there are so much things that need to go on. But then of course
there was a lot of fear and confusion, particularly when it first came out.
Exactly. But I think there definitely has to be enlightenment, and no matter what, we can't use any excuses. It has to start from the grassroots.
Absolutely. You've got just before we go to the next break, you've got one more story there. I believe it's a story about.
I didn't want to do this because it's politics, but then women in politics go hand in hand, don't they? It's the Kim Kardashian story.
Yes, these are the new images that.
These are the new images. This is online. It's paper.com. And they've actually run a spread of Kim Kardashian. They did a spread yesterday, very simple spread of her showing her very huge buttocks. Derriere, bum, whatever you want to call it. Today, they've actually shown some nude pictures of her, nude images. And I'm actually in the process of writing Kim Kardashian an open letter, because it's just got to stop. And what's got to stop? I think for younger children, I'm a mother and I'm married, but for a lot of young girls growing up, it's just impossible. How can they aspire to be somebody like Kim Kardashian when really a lot of women have a lot of body issues? And also as well...
It's also confusing because you've got these two conflicting body forms that are being presented.
Yeah.
On the one hand, you've got the stick-thin mannequins, the stick-thin models.
Yeah.
Then on the other hand, you've got this sort of other end of the unrealistic spectrum, which is the tiny waist and the huge ass.
Yeah, I think they may seem conflicting, but they're very similar. When I used to work in central London, I've actually seen Kim Kardashian. This is, of course, before she's had the butt implant injections. But she's actually very tiny. She's small, It's a lot of... And same as Nicki Minaj. I think with her Anaconda video, she faced a lot of criticism. And Nicki Minaj...
It was very little Kim, wasn't it?
It was very little Kim, but don't say that. She hates that.
Okay.
But,
well, let's say it one more time. It was little Kim.
It was very little Kim. But she actually... She seems to think that she's a slim-sized woman, and she is. She's not actually that big. But I think, a lot of people are saying, oh, if you criticise Kim Kardashian, if you criticise Nicki Minaj, you're a hater, you're ugly yourself. And it's not that. Sometimes women do need to criticise women because we need good role models for young girls in society. And when Kim Kardashian, who's perfect, you've got enough money, you're married, you've got enough fame, you've got a child, you've got everything you want. Stop putting yourself out there for young girls girls to compare yourselves to you, where you're incomparable. This is what really offends me. This is what I kind of think that she's actually gone too far.
Okay, thank you so much, Juliana. Great to have you in the studio, Juliana Olapido. And we're just going to a break now, and we'll be coming back talking politics, talking Ebola, and also talking the N-word. So don't go away.
The moment when, an event you definitely want to be at. 16th November at the Amersham Arms, 388 New Cross Road, London SE14 6TY. Doors open from 7:30, and it's going to be a night that will see some of London's finest talent hitting the stage to show off their singing, acting and spoken word abilities, topped off with our guest inspirational speaker. Definitely a night not to be missed. For more information, you can call through on 079 08 58 2493.
Whoa, 96.9 Cool FM. That was Check and Balance by my homeboy, Burner Boy, produced by Spells. Big shout outs to these guys doing amazing stuff. It is still the Cool Station. My name is Kayla, also known as the Sexy Superhero. How y'all doing? Hope you're having a great time on the show. Talking about resolve, talking about fun. People have been tweeting, asking me, Kayla, what's happening this December? What's going on? Where are we supposed to be hanging out? Well, the very first annual BEN TV Awards 2014 is taking place on the 11th of December. And they're having nominees and autograph party. Now, I just want you to be part of this party, honestly, because it's going to be the biggest party of the year. Now, to be part of the party, all you need to do is follow BEN TV on Instagram, okay, and on Twitter, it's at BEN TV_awards. And you can also like their Facebook page, which is BEN TV Awards, okay, so simple. Now, the next step you need to do is just send us a short statement why you want to be at the party. You can say, I want to hang out with Burner Boy, I want to hang out with Kayla, I want to hang out with all the superstars. And then the final thing is just try to make yourself look super hot like the Sexy Superhero. Just get your nice outfit and come party. That's all you need to do to be part of the biggest party of the year. It's the nominees and autograph party, the BEN TV Awards 2014. BEN TV Awards, bridging the gap.
Talk Time, the social, political and cultural youth show that puts your issues first.
We cover all the hot topics, such as domestic violence,
gun and knife crime,
youth adoption,
teen pregnancy,
youth unemployment,
and well, basically the list goes on.
so all the hot topics affecting the youth, we cover it. So what time's that show on, Letitia?
That would be Thursday, 6 till 7.
So we see you guys then?
Yes, we will.
Welcome back to the Politics Show with me, Lester Holloway, and we were speaking earlier to Juliana Olapido, from a journalist of high standing reviewing the papers. Now we're going on to a couple of other issues I wanted to discuss. Firstly, it's about the N-word, and as I said before, I'm not going to mention the word itself because for me it's just an unacceptable word in all circumstances. However, there's no doubt that some black people do actually use the N-word. There has, however, been a campaign over many years and decades with the NAACP and with the likes of L-Shot and to try and educate people to say that, and educate young rappers to actually say that the use of the N-word is unacceptable. However, a couple of days ago, the CNN presenter and former Mirror editor Piers Morgan wrote an article in the Daily Mail of all places about the N-word. I wonder why the Daily Mail was the go-to place to discuss such issues. But he effectively wrote that African Americans needed to try a lot harder to stop the N-word being used, and in fact he used an analogy saying that he would like the N-words to be tied to a post and whipped like a slave, which attracted a great deal of criticism in its own right. And after that, the singer John Legend criticised Piers Morgan, saying it wasn't his issue to get involved with, that he had no right to be trying to be lecturing the black community about what they should or should not be doing with the word. I'm pleased to be joined by someone who has previously done an exhibition exploring the history of the N-word, Lekia Lee. Welcome to the show, Lekia. First of all, as someone who has been exploring some of the origins of the word, we'll come back to the origins of the word in just a minute, but what was your initial reaction when you saw Piers Morgan's article?
When I saw his article at first, I thought to myself, well, serves us right, because I feel we don't talk enough about it. And if we don't talk enough about it, then someone else is going to say something about it, because it affects everyone. A lot of young people say, well, they have reclaimed the word and they can use the word as a term of endearment, but white people are not allowed to use it. So in a sense, it does affect white people as well. I understand where people are coming from, saying it's not Piers Morgan's business, but if we don't take care of our business, someone is going to, well, for want of another word, poke their nose in our business.
But isn't it an excuse? I mean, I've heard this excuse many, many times, where a white person will use the N-word, and when they're accused of racism, they will say, well, actually, hold on a second, black people use it too. But actually, in the context, it's completely different, isn't it? Not that I'm defending in any way the N-word. I've written articles many times which has been criticising hip-hop artists and other people for using that word. But that's not a way to go down. That's not an excuse, is it? That's not a pass to say that you're not racist because black people use the word too.
Yes, I agree with you. It's not an excuse for white people to use the word. The word is a derogatory word. It's a rude word. It's a terrible word, and no one should be using it. So to say that someone else is using it, so therefore I can use it, is absolutely not acceptable at all. What
kind of issues did your exhibition explore, and how did you approach it?
Well, we used photography. A good friend of mine, Pauline, and we actually did a radio program where we talked about the N-word, and it was a lot of young people actually calling and saying that they see the word as something completely different, and they don't understand what we are saying when we say that the word, the N-word, is a terrible word, is a derogatory word. So we thought we'll have photos of what it meant to be the N-word, especially, in the early 19th century, late 18th century. So we just had, photographs of what it meant to be at the time. And we just wanted to show that at that time, no black person would use that word on themselves. That word was used to degrade. Yeah. And even when black people would use the word, they would use it to degrade another black person. But we want But
it's also used to a certain extent in that way now. Some people say that, it's a term of endearment, especially amongst young people. We can argue about that. But another way it's used is by one black person to describe the state of mind of another black person, that a person who is living in ignorance, who does not know about themselves, that is carrying on in a very slack way, behaving badly, committing crime. They use the word to actually describe a state of mind. Yes. Can that ever be acceptable? Because they're acting as if they might as well be back in the times of slavery.
Yes. That's a very tricky question.
Yes.
I mean, my first reaction...
It wasn't meant to be a tricky question. It's just an interesting issue to explore.
It's a very interesting angle, because my first reaction is, no, don't use the word. But sometimes some people, would act like they were, it's so difficult not to say the word when you're talking about it.
Absolutely,
but
yes.
I detest using the word, so I'm not going to use it.
Yeah.
But some people would say, yes, you're behaving like an N-word and things like that.
Yes.
And that, as you pointed out, is to show that you need to change your mindset.
Yeah.
But then again, others use it differently. So
if you've got a view about this, you can call us on 0208 808 0693. Let's get down to brass tacks with Piers Morgan. Was it his business to get involved here? Yes or no?
It's not a yes or no answer.
Okay, well,
but
whatever the answer is.
It's I would say loosely yes.
Why?
Because
does he understand the sort of, you know, the political context, the historical context around the word?
He probably would not.
Because you could tell him a thing or two about the origins of the word.
Oh yes, I could tell him a thing or two, but anyone can find about the origins of the word. He may not have experienced it, and it's different when, I mean, I wouldn't even say have experienced the N-word in that sense as well. You know, there's some black people that haven't really experienced that. And especially Africans from the continent haven't really experienced the N-word like African Americans and some African Caribbeans as well. So, yes, he may not have experienced it, but he would understand. I think you can understand the context. You don't have to be a black person to understand the context in which the N-word is used and feel very passionate about it.
Absolutely. Stay put, because we're coming back and exploring those issues in just a moment. But I wanted to turn now to the issue of politics, and I've got another very special guest in the studio, Pauline Pearce, otherwise known as the Hackney Heroine, after berating protesters in 2011 when there was a riots or uprisings. I seem to have combined that word there in North London and other parts of London as well. After the police shooting, or controversial shooting of Mark Duggan. You became a Liberal Democrat. You ran for council in Hackney, and you're still involved in politics. Now, Pauline, you ran for party president for the Liberal Democrats, so one of the most important positions there. And then you pulled out, and you were citing underhand racism. Do you want to just explain to me, you know, the circumstances that...
Well, the circumstances was that Nick Clegg had made a statement saying that the party was indeed too male and too pale. And myself, with my quirky sense of humour, and a couple of other friends who kind of said, you know, that's a good challenge there, thought, OK, let's go for the president. You know, saying too male and too pale. Well, hello, you know, you can't get better than this. And it was received very well by the vast majority of people. They're like, yes, go for it, you know. But then there were these text messages from numbers that weren't stored in my phone, inbox messages on Facebook, and the odd conversations that I had saying, oh, you know, you're not experienced enough for this. Well, how does one get experience in a job if one doesn't go for it and do it? So then there were these, the issue of my criminal record became a problem. It was just every little nitpick. Now, I come from a working class black background, very proud of it, and learnt quite a lot, but I was also raised in middle-class Hertfordshire, so I quite know the two levels, you know, from going from Hertfordshire to London is a totally different build.
And of course, one of the reasons as well why I brought you on is that I know it sounds a bit strange to be talking about myself, but I'm in The Voice this week. Just hold that up there. After I resigned from the Liberal Democrats, I was formerly councillor in Sutton and active in other ways in the party. And just briefly, I mean, I resigned because I've been, you know, upset with the Liberal Democrats for some time, failure to make progress on black political representation inside the party. Failure to have strong diversity initiatives to encourage more of a better atmosphere around race equality and the debate there, and also failure to bring forward policies to tackle race inequality in society.
That's right.
Even when we gave them policies and the conference approved policies, they still didn't push it forward into government. And then, you know, the online spaces, when you have a toleration of racist comments like Africans don't know what a toilet is. For me, that was just like, well,
it was below the
there
belt.
was now no redeeming features, you know, in this party whatsoever. I still consider myself
and that's
liberal.
why I say I think they say things, but they don't actually realise that some of the things that are said by a minor, it's not a majority, it's a minority group, that they don't realise the way they phrase and word things can be quite insulting. You know, they're so desperate to be politically correct, but in areas where they're supposed to be, they actually do slip a bit. But I feel... a bit like Dwayne gave me a bit of a ticking off. He's like, why? You should have thought this out. You know, why have you pulled out? And he was a bit disappointed in me. But I said, I needed to step back, take a breath and experience what these people are saying. So I said, OK, I need experience, I'll get that. I need more education, I'll get that. So I've since passed my PPC assessment. So this is why I can be MP
to
now.
be a prospective parliamentary candidate.
But I then said, well, the fact that it happened to you, I'm sorry that it did, but I'm kind of glad in a way, because it then shows that what I experienced and what you experienced is part of the same deal.
Now, let's move this on slightly, because we're 6 months away from an election now, and you know, as we approach the election, there's always a focus on getting every part of the community to vote, including the black community. At the same time, we hear stories not just from the Liberal Democrats, you know, I have to be fair, actually from other parties as well. So, you know, is there a problem with the body politic, and what can be done to try and make progress and solve this between now and the general election in 6 months, to make the parties, all political parties, seem more welcoming, and not just seem more welcoming, but actually be more welcoming to people of African and Caribbean descent?
Well, we need people like you not to drop out.
Okay.
You know, because I was all ready to pack my bags and go, but then I realised, in hindsight, when I look back, I realised that to leave will be leaving the problem. It won't get solved. And then some other person like myself will come on board, and the problem will be there for them to face, and then they'll leave. So if all of us that are facing these problems just stick together and fight it out and thrash it out together, then we'll get more answers. One man on their own doesn't get heard, you know. So please come home. We need you. We need you. But I think we need to get... First of all, we need to take this minority out. I don't like it, and many people we speak to don't like it.
And in many parts of London, it's not true as well.
Right, we are not a minority, we are a majority.
Certainly a majority,
and a very big part of the electorate majority. We need to reach out to our people. And in showing them that politics can be fun, politics, you can engage in topics that interest you, give them that feel, give them that energy to say, you know what, I think I really want to raise the issue about the dog poop in the parks. You know, whatever your thing is, that's all politics. Bring it to base. Bring something active and positive and be a part of it. Because to win it, you have to be in it.
Absolutely. And if you've got a view about that, then do call us on 0208 808 0693. Pauline, I just want to bring you in on the issue about the N-word and Piers Morgan. I don't know if you've had a chance to read the Daily Mail story there. It's provoked a huge amount of reaction in America. Lots of people have supported him, saying that, as a community, we weren't raising the issue enough, so at least somebody is. Other people are saying, look, you know, Piers Morgan, you really don't understand what you're getting into.
Listen, I just say, for our people, we tend to nitpick a lot. At the end of the day, if it wasn't for a Caucasian person standing up for us during slavery times to help free us, then we wouldn't have had that help. Maybe sometimes...
some people might dispute that as well, because you had so many rebellions.
There were rebellions and stuff, but it still boiled down to them making the initial decision.
You had the Barbados rebellions, you had Haiti.
But what I'm saying is, there's people
plenty of rebellions
that came out there to help us make better. I don't think Piers was being derogative when he did or said what he said.
No, I think he was well-meaning.
It's totally from the heart. I mean, come on, he mixed with plenty black people all through his work.
I don't think anybody's disputing that he wasn't well-meaning, but it's actually
this day and
whether
he should have.
He should have.
Well, whether he shouldn't or should have, he did, didn't he? And I don't take it in a bad way personally, because the word's been used out there. Many people say no. It's it's nice to have someone like Piers Morgan coming forward and saying, no, I agree, this word should be abolished. You know, and therefore we've got him on our side, we get a few Chinese and we get a few Indians and all those people, everybody come on and say, let's stop using this word.
Yes.
But sadly, society has it, youngsters wearing their jeans under their bums and saying, what's up, man? You know, it's all cool. It's supposed to be dude-ish, isn't it?
Yeah. Actually, Lekia, just give us a little bit about the history of